loved by millions, and an inspiration to thousands more. Jodeci is not just another R&B group from back in the day. They're legends, and their legacy is one that has had a lasting impact on R&B music. By an unplanned twist of fate, the group is made up of two sets of brothers, Donald and Dalvin DeGreat, popularly known as DeVante Swing and Mr. Dalvin, and Cedric and Joel Haley, popularly known as Casey and JoJo. The name Jodeci was formed as an abbreviation of their names. They picked the first two letters of all of their names, Joe from JoJo, D from DeGreat, and C from Casey. DeVante Swing was born in Northampton, Virginia, to the very religious Pentecostal family of Reverend Donald DeGreat Sr. and his wife Mary on September 29, 1969. 2 years later, his brother, Mr. Dalvin, was born on July 23, 1971. Their parents raised them in the way of the Lord as Christian children, influencing their earlier career choice of being a gospel group. The brothers trained their voices by singing in their father's gospel group, the DeGreat Delegation, and they even went on tour with the group and performed some of the gospel music on their album. Their story is not much different from the Haley brothers, who again, by a weird stroke of fate, share similar birth years with the DeGreat brothers. Casey was born on September 2, 1969 in Charlotte, North Carolina, while JoJo was also born 2 years later on June 10, 1971. And like the DeGreat brothers, Casey and JoJo also grew up in a religious home with a family of musical talents. Both parents, Anita and Cliff, were gospel singers, and together with their sons, they formed an 8-member group called Little Cedric Casey and the Haley Singers. The group's first album, titled I'm All Right Now, was released in 1983, but it failed to chart. However, things would pick up the following year when their next album, Jesus Saves, was released and rose to the number 4 spot on the Billboard Top Gospel Albums chart. A short time later, the third and most important twist of fate occurred. At the time, Casey was dating a member of the all-female gospel group Unity, who just happened to be an acquaintance of the DeGreat brothers. She would always talk up the Haley brothers, saying that the group of brothers should meet, which they eventually did, and in the process found out that not only did they share gospel backgrounds, but also the desire to try their hand at R&B music. Mostly we listened to R&B, DeVante said of he and his brothers' time growing up, but we never stuck to one kind of music. We listened to all kinds of music, rock and roll, country music. We kind of snuck it in the house. We'd have headphones on late at night. As a matter of fact, in 1985, before the group of brothers would later meet, DeVante had tried to pursue a solo career by traveling to Paisley Park Studios in Minneapolis to audition to sing with Mr. Purple Rain himself, Prince. He didn't make it past the studio gates. Not one to give up easily, he went back several times over and was met with the same dead end. Having done all he could, he decided it was time to move on, so he returned back to Virginia. Jodeci was formed shortly afterwards. The group worked on improving their songwriting and production skills, with DeVante writing songs to the girl he liked. JoJo would sing the lyrics, they would produce a beat for the song, record it, put it on a cassette tape, and send it to her. The tape got around, and the feedback was good. People loved the music and encouraged them to do more with their songs.
And I pray that you always stay with me. Say you and I would never fall apart.
In the spirit of that, the group drove up to New York City in 1989 with their demo tape in hand, looking for the offices of Uptown Records. They wanted to sign to Uptown specifically because it was home to two of their favorite artists, the group Sky and Heavy D and the Boys. They found the address of Uptown Records by looking through the yellow pages and, with a combination of persistence, patience, and luck, eventually got to meet Uptown's founder, Andre Harrell. He asked them to do a live audition, and they sung Come and Talk to Me. Andre took them to dinner that night and signed them. After getting signed, Uptown Records spent a little bit of time perfecting the group's sound and their image. A&R director at the time, Dre, chose their bad boy look and image to counter the clean-cut look of another group that was about to debut, Boyz II Men. With Jodeci's unique sound, DeVante's swing songwriting prowess, and Albert Brown's production skills, and the influence of Uptown Records, their debut album album, Forever My Lady, debuted in 1991, and it set the R&B world on fire. After Forever My Lady, they released their second album, Diary of a Mad Band, in 1993, and another album, The Show, The After Party, The Hotel, in 1995, all of which were massive successes. Every album was a hit. Every album attained platinum status. The world was in awe, but their parents were not. In the newspaper publication The Baltimore Sun, released on February 22, 1992, Reverend Donald DeGreat Sr. was quoted as saying, according to the Word of God, it says, "If I raise them up by His Word, they won't stray as adults. I think they'll be back." In that same article, Mr. Dalvin revealed that their parents never listened to their music. According to Mr. Dalvin, their parents would rather they be in church, no matter how much success they have. "I respect them for that," he was quoted saying. "They never liked R&B music before, and they won't bend just because we're their kids." In another article from Washington Post in 1992, their mum, Anita, said that though she's proud of her sons, her heart's greatest desire is that they come back to gospel. Sadly, with Jodeci's fame came really rough times. In 1993, DeVante Swing was the victim of a violent attack and robbery at his home in New Jersey. He suffered serious injuries, including head trauma. DeVante later claimed that he was okay, but of course he wasn't. Already suffering from anxiety, the attack was like the nail in the coffin. To add to that, two of their mentors, Puff Daddy, who had joined Uptown in 1990, and Andre Harrell, left Uptown Records in that same year. Uptown wasn't the same for Jodeci without them. The group had friction. They had disagreements with the studio on how they wanted to produce Diary of a Mad Band, and they even toyed with the idea of leaving the label for Death Row Records. Uptown got wind of the group's plan to leave and refused to promote the album. It still topped Billboard anyway, but the group was struggling. Though they were spending a lot of money on recording and studio time, they had lost their zing. DeVante started missing rehearsals and wouldn't show up to studio sessions, and without him there to write and produce songs, the group's dynamics weren't the same. They tried to keep things afloat, but in 1996, they decided to call it quits. The Haley brothers broke off and started recording songs as Casey and JoJo. The duo produced hit songs like All My Life and Tell Me It's Real during that time. Their first album, Love Always, was a massive hit, reaching platinum status a year after the release. The duo started going on tours, hosting shows and concerts to promote their music. At this time, DeVante and Mr. Dalvin went off the grid, and not much was heard concerning them. DeVante spoke about the group's 20-year hiatus during a Billboard interview in 2015, saying, "People thought we broke up, but we never did. We just stopped putting out records." And of the new album, The Past, The Present, The Future, that they were promoting that year, he said, "There's a lot of love out there from fans, peers, and friends. People want to hear real harmonies and lyrics again. Emotional music where you can feel happy, sad, or in the mood to make love." For longtime fans, our new album sounds like where Jodeci left off, but it sounds current as well, to bring in new fans. The lead single on that album, Every Moment, topped Billboard's adult R&B airplay chart for 2 weeks after its release. Another short hiatus, and as part of their plan to come back stronger with a refined sound, the group signed to P Music Group in 2021. Speaking about signing, P Music Group CEO Michael Perrin said, "During the pandemic, the guys started reaching out to each other and began talking about reuniting. They're ready to build something new, done the right way without continuing the missteps of the past. I want to be long-term with them and help them show the world that they're back to begin a whole new era." The group has been touring since their return, but during a performance on tour in February of this year, JoJo was struggling to perform and was unable to stand without assistance. Fans were concerned and speculated that he might have had a stroke. His daughter, however, cleared things up in an interview with Atlanta Black Star. "He's diabetic," she said. "He was just recently diagnosed with diabetes within the past year, and it's new for him." JoJo is not the only member to have suffered a health setback. His brother Casey suffered a brain stroke stroke and was hospitalized in 2018 for about 6 months. Of the group's reputation for drinking, in an interview with Sister to Sister magazine, JoJo said, "Ever since Jodeci had their first hit, that's when everything started spiraling downward. I mean, with the whole band, individually and as a group. From then on, I really didn't have any feelings about it. It was just a party and BS. But I didn't think it was taking a toll on me until the first time that I said I wasn't going to drink anything and fell into a seizure." And as for the rumors of any of the members of the group ever being on hard drugs, in a 2015 interview on Power 105's The Breakfast Club, Casey simply said, "Nah, not no drugs. Weed, yeah, but not no hardcore." Today, the group is alive, well, and touring. If you'd like to see them in person, just go to jodeci.com to see when these legends will be in a city near you.